Hello and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Daily Global News Update in English. My name is Todd Goldfinger, and here are today's top headlines. Thank you for being with us. News story number one. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump was set Monday to announce another lawsuit against Northwestern University over hazing allegations in its athletic programs, with the latest suit touted as containing, in quotes, damning new details of sexual hazing and abuse in its football program. Crump and other attorneys were expected to join former Northwestern quarterback Lloyd Yates in discussing the lawsuit filing Monday afternoon in Chicago. A news advisory says the complaint will allege negligence, willful and wanton disregard for player safety and well-being, end quotes, among other claims. Yates is among more than 15 men and women who have retained Crump and the Chicago-based Levin and Perconti law to seek damages against Northwestern due to its hazing scandal. Next news. News story number two. When Chair Jerome Powell and other Federal Reserve officials gathered this week for their latest decision on interest rates, they will do so on the cusp of achieving an elusive soft landing, the feat of curbing inflation without causing a deep recession. After the Fed began aggressively raising borrowing costs early last year, most economists predicted it would send the economy crashing as consumers cut spending and businesses slashed jobs and expansion plans. Yet, even though the Fed is poised to raise its key rate on Wednesday for the 11th time since March 2022, its highest point in 22 years, no one is panicking. Economists and financial traders have grown more optimistic than what some would call immaculate disinflation, a steady easing of inflation pressures without an economic downturn can be achieved. Next news. News story number three. Wrecking ball side buoys on the Rio Grande. Razor wire strung across private property without permission. Bulldozers changing the very terrain of America's southern border. For more than 2 years, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott has escalated measures to keep immigrants from entering the U.S., pushing legal boundaries with a go-it-alone bravado along the state's 1,200-mile, its 1,930-kilometer border with Mexico. Now, blowback over the tactics is widening, including from within Texas. A state trooper's account of officers denying migrants water in 100-degree Fahrenheit, 37.7 degrees Celsius temperatures, and razor wire leaving asylum seekers bloodied has prompted renewed criticism. The Mexican government, the President Biden administration, and some residents are pushing back. Next news. News story number four. The mayor of Ecuador's third largest city was slain Sunday in a shooting that killed one other person and wounded four more, including two suspected attackers, officials said. Augustin Intriago, a 38-year-old lawyer, belonged to the local Better City movement in the port city of Manta and was recently reelected to a term that began in May. On his Twitter account, Interior Minister Juan Zapata reported Intriago slaying and the other casualties. He said the two wounded people suspected of being involved in the attack were receiving medical attention under police surveillance. Next news. News story number five. Wisconsin Supreme Court will flip from majority conservative to liberal control in August, and Democrats have high hopes that change will lead to the state's abortion ban being overturned and its maps redrawn to weaken GOP control of the legislature and congressional districts. Democrats in the perennial battleground state focused on abortion to elect a liberal majority to the court for the first time in 15 years. The Democratic Party spent $8 million to tilt the court's 4-3 conservative majority by one seat with the election of Janet Protasevich, who spoke in favor of abortion rights and against the Republican-drawn map in a campaign. Her April victory broke national spending records for a state Supreme Court race. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. You also won't want to miss Todd Goldfinger show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. And to stay connected with all top and trending news, don't even miss Millennium News Hour with host Tanziba Nouri. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News, news you need to know.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Daily Global News Update in English. My name is Todd Goldfinger, and here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. News story number 6. Israeli lawmakers on Monday approved a key portion of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's divisive plan to reshape the country's justice system despite massive protests that have exposed unprecedented fissures in Israeli society. The vote came after a stormy session in which opposition lawmakers chanted, "Shame," and then stormed out of the chamber. It reflected the determination of Netanyahu and his far-right allies to move ahead with the plan, which has tested the delicate social ties that bind the country, rattled the cohesion of its powerful military, and repeatedly drawn concern from its closest ally, the United States. Next news. News story number 7. Tens of thousands of protesters marched into Jerusalem on Saturday evening, and hundreds of thousands of Israelis took to the streets in Tel Aviv and other cities in a last-ditch show of force aimed at blocking Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's contentious judicial overhaul. Also, Saturday, more than 100 of Israel's former secretary chiefs signed a letter pleading with the Israeli premier to halt legislation. Thousands of additional military reservists said they would no longer report for duty in a protest against the plan. In scorching heat that reached 33 degrees Celsius, 91 degrees Fahrenheit, the procession into Jerusalem turned the city's main entrance into a sea of blue and red Israeli flags as marchers completed the last leg of a 4-day, 70-kilometer, 45-mile trek from Tel Aviv to Israel's parliament. Next news. News story number 8. The trial of a woman charged with killing and dismembering a Green Bay, Wisconsin man last year is set to begin Monday after a judge found her fit to assist in her own defense. 16 jurors were selected Friday from the homicide trial of Taylor Schabusiness, 25, following the judge's ruling that the Green Bay woman was able to help in her defense. The Green Bay Press-Gazette reported. 4 of the jurors will serve as alternates. Defense attorney Christopher Froelich told the court he disagreed with that ruling. Schabusiness is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault in the February 2022 killing of Shad Therion, 25. Authorities say she strangled Therion at the Green Bay home he shared with his mother, sexually abused him, and dismembered his body, leaving parts of it throughout the house and in a vehicle. Next news. News story number 9. Russia has repeatedly fired missiles and drones at Ukrainian ports, key to sending grain to the world. Moscow has declared large swaths of the Black Sea dangerous for shipping. Even the U.S. ships are at risk of being targeted. There is still interest from ship owners in carrying Ukrainian grain through the Black Sea, if they can mitigate the risk, according to a major shipping group. And that's a big if. Despite the warnings and port attacks, which have leveled grain infrastructure, in quotes, shipping has always been very, very resilient in the face of these sorts of risks, end quote, said John Stoppert, Senior Manager of Environment and Trade for the International Chamber of Shipping, which represents 80% of the world's commercial fleet. Next news. News story number 10. As Greece swelters in another heat wave, children are finding some cool spit and fun in a fountain near a cultural center in Athens. Things are set to worsen in the Greek capital over the weekend, with temperatures approaching 111 degrees Fahrenheit, or 44 degrees Celsius, in yet another and hopefully final July heat wave in the country, meteorologists said. Blistering temperatures just keep coming during this northern hemisphere summer, with records toppling around the world and global averages reaching uncharted hot territory. Others are seeing deadly summer storms and flash floods. Scientists say human-caused climate changes exacerbates all kinds of extreme weather. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news. Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss Todd Goldfinger show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News, news you need to know.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Daily Global News Update in English. My name is Todd Goldfinger, and here's the continuation of today's top headlines. Thank you for being with us. News story number 11. Russian security forces on Saturday killed a heavily armed gunman who broke into a private house in the suburbs of Moscow and fired at them, reportedly threatening to march on the Kremlin. The assailant was spotted by guards after he had broken into an unoccupied house located in an elite cottage village in the Istra region, about 45 kilometers, less than 30 miles west of Moscow. When two guards and a police officer entered the house, the man held them at gunpoint, but the three later managed to escape, according to Russian media. For several hours, the authorities negotiated with the attacker, who was in combat fatigues and toted a Kalashnikov rifle. The man claimed he came from the front lines in Ukraine and was driven by God to march on the Kremlin, the seat of the government in Moscow. Next news. News story number 12. Sri Lanka is considering the possibility of allowing the use of the Indian rupee for local transactions, as the island nation struggles to build its depleted foreign reserves and to emerge from last year's unprecedented economic crisis. Sri Lankan Foreign Minister Ali Sabri said Saturday the move to allow the use of its giant neighbor's currency would enable, quotes, tourists and other people from India to indirectly use Indian rupees here, end quotes, without going through the hassle of multiple currency conversions. Sri Lanka imports plenty of items from India, its largest trading partner, including food, pharmaceuticals, construction materials, automobiles, fertilizers, and chemicals. Trade between the two nations stood at $5.45 billion in 2021, according to official figures. Next news. News story number 13. At the morgue, the bullet was still lodged in Douglas Kalasinga's head. His family said they couldn't afford an autopsy. At least 35 civilians have been shot dead by police in Kenya this month during protests over new taxes and the rising cost of living. And Kalasinga's loved ones believe he's one of them. In quotes, it is if the police wanted to kill him because they aimed straight at his head, end quotes, his uncle, David Wangila, told the Associated Press on Friday. An Interior Ministry spokesperson referred requests to comment to the police, who didn't respond. News story number 14. What do Paul McCartney, Queen Latifah, Lady Gaga, and Stevie Wonder have in common? Oh, and Aretha Franklin, Katie Lang, Bono, and Billy Joel. Not to mention Carrie Underwood, Judy Garland, John Legend, and Placido Domingo. And let's not forget, stop, listening, listing all of the musicians who performed duets with Tony Bennett would take up our remaining space. His place in music history is already secure. Tony Bennett, who died at 96 on Friday, was indeed, in quotes, the last of the great saloon singers of the mid-20th century, end quotes, as Charles J. Gans wrote for the Associated Press. Yet that summation befits a man frozen in time, consigned to a specific era, and Tony Bennett was anything but that. Next news. News story number 15. Some people paid hundreds of dollars to be able to say they were in the stadium for Lionel Messi's debut for Inter Miami. Some paid thousands for their seats. The team's owners committed well over $100 million just to have a chance at moments like this. So far, it looks like money well spent. From the "you can't make this up" department, Messi capped the opening night with his new club by delivering the unforgettable. His magical left foot sent a free kick into the upper left corner of the net in the 94th minute Friday night, giving Inter Miami a 2-1 win over Mexican club Cruz Azul in a Leagues Cup match. This has been the daily global English news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. My name is Todd Goldfinger. Thank you for watching the news. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites. That means Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel 24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news, views, and editorials. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA Android, Millennium News Google, www.millenniumtv24.com. Please stay with Millennium News 24. Thank you and God bless you wherever you are. Peace.